Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a wife, mom of two, VBAC mama, and doula. Join us every episode to learn from professionals, special guests, and moms just like you, ensuring that you know what you need to know and discover things that you didn't know before. I believe in you. Let's doula this, and let's navigate the transition of entering motherhood together. Hey mama, and welcome back. I am super excited to record this episode and share some of the things that have been coming up for me that I really feel are useful in the birth space, especially when preparing for labor, but also just motherhood in general, and really just this preparation of entering motherhood and navigating difficult times and really just setting the tone for what's possible and processing different emotions and triggers and pain and feelings and emotions and all that stuff. So we recently went on a road trip, which was awesome and amazing, but also just a lot going on. But during that drive, during the ride, I got to listen to some audiobooks that I have been wanting to listen to for a while. And I really got to catch up on a lot of stuff that I've been wanting to dig into and read about and things like that. So I am super excited to just kind of share what has come up for me in the past few weeks from these audiobooks, and also just other moments in my life that I keep on hearing this message and this same occurrence come up. I was recently just at a birth too that was so captivating to watch, because the way that she navigated labor and how she was moving through the process was something that I had never seen before. I've had clients that are a lot more internal, a lot more quiet, a lot more reserved, but she was essentially not sure if we should leave for the hospital, or if they were strong enough, or if it was time, because she wasn't, as a first-time mom, aware or sure if what she was feeling was intense enough to qualify to be the moments that were bringing her baby there. And sure enough, once we got her to the hospital on the ride over in the car, things did escalate. Things were a lot more intense. Her demeanor had changed as we were getting to the labor and delivery area and up to triage. But I was completely shocked that she was as far along as she was. And it's just amazing how we all process this time differently, and the way that we perceive, if you want to call it pain, the intensity, the waves, contractions, and the difference of how we're able to process that, not only physically and externally, but internally and mentally and emotionally. So there are two books that I listened to on our road trip. The one is Heavily Meditated, and the other one is Mind Your Body. They weren't birth books per se, but they ended up really helping me process some big thoughts about pain and trauma and how we prepare for labor, and not just, like I said, that physical aspect, but the emotional side of it, and how our minds and our brains work in such interesting ways and allow us to really reframe what we're feeling, and sometimes categorizes unknown sensations as pain, which is really, really interesting. So I want to start off by kind of reframing what pain is. I think sometimes people want to go into birth having this pain-free experience, or eliminate the pain, or reduce the pain, or whatever it might be. And I think it's really more so reframing that pain, redirecting the pain. I don't think that even people that are saying that they had a pain-free birth or a painless birth I don't think that the pain is not there. I think it's just how we associate and reframe that pain that really is what's going on and how we're perceiving the experience. I also don't want to say it has to be an excruciating experience or it has to be like movies perceive it sometimes and screaming and being really chaotic. I think for this, what's talked less about is our relationship with pain and our fear that we might have around it, or past experiences with it, or how that pain has been dismissed in the past. Maybe growing up, you fell, you got hurt. Oh, shake it off. Come on, it's nothing. Ignore it. Maybe you had really intense period cramps or headaches or back pain or whatever it might be. And people are telling you, like, oh, it can't be that bad. And oh, we don't see anything. Everybody goes through this. It's not that big of a deal. And your pain is kind of being diminished or ignored. And you're not feeling seen and heard and validated in the emotions that you know that you are very much having. So this can really shape our labor experience. And maybe when you start feeling contractions, it is very intense and you're having a lot of sensations and you are absolutely feeling like you are in pain and you're expressing this and people are telling you, oh, you're not that far along. Maybe what you're feeling is all in your head, or how are you going to get to finish this, or how are you going to be fully dilated? And if you can't process this right now, there's no way that you're making it to the end. And so I think a lot of the times these thoughts are not only ruminating and circling around in our head, but also sometimes externally being heard from people that are unfortunately in the room at the time, or when you're preparing for birth, you're hearing things like, why would you do that to yourself? Or why would you put yourself through so much pain? You don't have to be a hero. Don't do that. Just get the epidural. Or, oh, I went unmedicated. It was nothing. Like you're hearing all of these different perspectives and inputs, and you're still not even sure how you're going to process it, or if you can process it, or if it's going to be okay, if you're going to be able to do this. There's a lot of mental preparation that really goes into wanting to have an unmedicated birth. And so this is where I feel like the heavily meditated book really got me thinking, because it explores how society and the medical system often try to medicate pain without really truly understanding it. And sometimes that happens in labor too. We're told to numb it out, shut it down, control it, rather than ask, what is this pain telling me? What is the sensation doing for my body? And what signals is it sending to my brain? And how am I processing this? I just want to point out that pain doesn't always mean that something's wrong. In childbirth specifically, it often just means that something is happening and that your body is doing the work to bring your baby to you. At this birth that I was just recently at, the mom was fully unmedicated and she was pushing and the baby was crowning and she was saying, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And I said to her, I said, that is your baby. That's your baby girl. That's her head. That's what you're feeling. Bring her to you and keep on going. And sometimes we do need that encouragement. Sometimes we do need somebody there to help propel us and push us towards the end, whether that's a partner, a doula, even your provider can be that person. And if they're saying it in a loving, encouraging way, and, we're not forcing you to push or be in any more quote unquote pain than you need to be, but it's one of those things that we have to endure that sensation to bring our baby here. And it's really just such an amazing experience to not only go through, but I specifically love watching it. I love seeing women stand in their power. And even if they don't feel strong in the moment, I can see their strength and I can see what they are doing and the power that they have and the dedication that they have to go in this way. Going back to the book again, too, they mention that if you have trauma in your past, whether it be medical, emotional, otherwise, just trauma that is lingering, that pain can become more than a physical sensation. It can be a trigger. It can shut you down instead of opening you up. So it's really important to be working through past traumas or different things that might be holding you back and understand that it can be a very triggering experience as well when you are birthing your baby. And so it's really this culmination of pain and trauma and triggers and glimmers and associations and past experiences and stories that we hear and things that we interpret. And it's really kind of just all coming together. So, specifically talking about triggers that are possible and can happen in the birthplace, triggers aren't just emotional. They're sensory, they're physical, and often really surprising. A tone of voice from somebody, a smell, the room situation, just being told to relax. That can be very triggering, and understanding what your specific triggers are or what might set you off is really, really important. Understanding that word association or different things that could be happening can adjust how you're perceiving things is a really big deal. And for many of us, childbirth can stir up some buried emotions. And sometimes it's a lot of things that we didn't even realize that we're carrying. And this could be our first birth, this could be our fourth birth. Like, this could really come up at any time. And we're just completely unaware that we had that memory, that we had that sensation, that association. So, something that might help is really just turning back to some moments in your past that maybe you felt trapped, unseen, or powerless, and going through each of those moments and memories and seeing how they might come up and show up when you are in labor. And how are you going to create an environment that either it does not come up and you very much can guarantee that, but sometimes you can't, even if you are having a free birth, for example, and it's only you and your partner in the room, and you say, I don't want to hear these words. Maybe it slips, maybe it comes up, maybe a song goes on that says it. It's really one of those things that, like, what if it's unavoidable? How are you going to process that? How are you going to change the narrative? And how are you going to work through that moment? You don't need to have a big, dramatic trauma story for this even to be the case. It can be as simple as a time when, like I was saying, like, you were in pain and you were ignored, or you were told to suck it up, or it's no big deal. And your emotions and feelings weren't validated or heard. And so it's really important to just take some time to journal about this, think about this, dig deep within yourself, and understand if there is anything that could come up. And this is where the other book that I listened to, The Mind Your Body, comes in, because it talks about reconnecting with your body as a safe place again. We talk about creating this safe environment, creating this place to safely birth your baby in. That safe space can be anywhere if you can reconnect and find that safe space within yourself, in your body. And that's key for labor. If you don't feel safe in your own body, it's really hard to let go and let labor do what it needs to do, what it's required to do to bring your baby here. It's really important to be able to center yourself and find that safe space. It can be really, really hard when you're in labor land, when you are going through all these emotions, when you are not feeling like you're in control and you're not feeling like you're safe. And so it's really important to practice bringing yourself back to the safe space, finding comfort in your own body, being comfortable with yourself in so many different aspects. So it's really important to find that grounding side and not so much controlling, but really being able to prepare for what's to come. And we can't prepare by controlling every outcome. We can't absolutely know for sure that we're not going to walk into a space, especially if you're having a hospital birth, and everything is going to go exactly according to your birth plan, and nobody's going to say these certain words that are going to trigger you, and nobody's going to have a tone in their voice that makes you feel offset, and everybody is going to be exactly how you want. We can't control all of these different outcomes, but we can prepare by building emotional and physical trust within ourselves. And obviously, having people there that we also feel safe with and trust so that they can help expand our bubble. But it really, truly does start with ourselves, with our body, with our emotions, with our perception. And so a few things that can actually help with this are I'm going to talk about them right now, but one of them is called somatic check-ins. So if you have never done this before, I really deeply encourage you to look into it, but it's really just something that you can do every single day, and it's a short body scan and breath awareness, and you're just getting more in tune and in touch with your body, with yourself, and you're saying, what is my body trying to tell me today? It can be something super small, super simple. Maybe your wrist is hurting. Maybe your ankle is feeling some pain. Maybe there's a spot in your neck that you just need to rotate and move. Just notice these things without judgment. Where are you feeling different things coming up? We're doing these full body check-ins. There are recordings that you can listen to that help walk you through this. This is something that maybe after you've been practicing for a while, you can do yourself. It's just a way that we can be building this trust and this emotional connection with our body again. Another thing that we can do is practice surrendering. And labor really truly requires a softening, not so much a bracing and a tensing. And so you can practice that now during stressful situations, during a workout, maybe even when you're sitting in traffic. Just go about your day, and whenever you find yourself tensing up, try to surrender and relax and unclench, exhale, and really take a moment to soften and release. Because when we are in labor, the same sensation might come up, the same feeling and association might be happening. And what we really, really need to do in those moments is relax our eyebrows, relax our jaw, relax our hands, and let it go. And then another thing is really naming your triggers ahead of time, like I was just talking about. Go through and say, like, what ticks me off? What pisses me off? What do I know for sure that if somebody says this, if somebody asks me this, if this happens, I'm going to just spiral down and explode. Write them down. Talk through them with your birth team, your partner, whoever it might be, and make a plan not to avoid them entirely, but to recognize them and to navigate them and to understand that when they do come up or if they do come up, you are going to process this and you're going to work through it and you're going to continue to focus on what needs to be done in the moment to birth your baby and bring your baby here. And then another thing that you can do to really help prepare for all of this is to create some sort of toolkit, toolbox, not physically like items, but a list of things that you can call upon to bring you comfort, to help soothe your nervous system. Maybe that's music, making a playlist, having certain affirmations, having certain scents that associate really soothing, calming environments for you. Something soft, a blanket, a pillow, a comfort item. This is helping regulate our nervous system. This is helping soothe you. So, putting those items in mind and knowing that you can call upon these to have as items in your toolbox to really just draw comfort from and help regulate your nervous system. And again, just going back and saying, how do I want to feel? Not just what do I want to happen? So sometimes when people are building a birth plan and really laying out what they want that to look like, they're simply just saying delayed cord clamping, immediate skin to skin, pushing on hands and knees, whatever it might be. Like you're just listing off of these things that maybe you heard before, or maybe you think sound good, or whatever it might be. You're just like going through all of these different checklist items. But why do you want that? How do you want to feel after that? What is it about that specific thing? Dim lights, for example. Why do you want dim lights? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel supported? How do you want to be heard? How do you want to be safe? Really tying in how you want to feel and the association with that on those items. And you don't have to share this with anybody. You can just list all of these things on your birth plan for people to associate and have and make sure is being done and heard and accomplished. But for you, really dig into the how you want to feel side of it. And like I said earlier in this episode, this is not just for labor. This is for motherhood too. This is for parenting. This is something that if you're doing this work now, if you are working through traumas and triggers and emotions and regulating your nervous system and understanding your body, feeling safe and comfort in your own skin, in your own being. This is going to carry out into your motherhood experience. This is going to be lifelong lessons that maybe you never processed before, but is going to be so useful and so impactful moving forward, because the emotional pain doesn't stop with childbirth. Postpartum can be really intense too. It can be super overwhelming. It can be full of moments and different experiences that bring up old stories, bring up things of our past, and really just cause us to experience a lot of different emotions. And so if you've already been practicing how to ground yourself, if you're already trusting your body, if you acknowledge discomfort instead of ignore it, you are already on your way. You have built your toolkit that you will use again and again. Motherhood isn't about perfection. It's about presence and understanding And preparing for labor in this deeper way can actually prepare you for your motherhood experience so much better. So, really taking the time to do this work now is just going to be so beneficial. There's going to be different things that you've never experienced before when you enter motherhood. And so I love doing this work when it comes to childbirth. I love watching people feel empowered when they birth their babies in whatever aspect that looks like. But I love when it transitions and expands into their motherhood experience. And they use what they've learned when they were preparing for birth in their everyday life, because it really can flow and transition so effortlessly into our motherhood experience. So if you're either preparing for labor or you're reflecting on a birth experience that didn't go as you hoped, here's what I want you to remember. You are allowed to feel pain and still at the same time feel so incredibly powerful. You're allowed to need help and still have the ability to trust yourself and trust your instincts. It's okay to ask for help. And you are allowed to honor your trauma and still believe in your body's deep and powerful wisdom. So all of these things can exist at the same time. And you don't have to go into labor with fear, but it's very, very possible because we are humans and fear is always something that can come up and is totally normal and totally acceptable. But what helps is when you go in with these tools and awareness and the ability to self-regulate when things get hard. So I hope this episode helped. I hope it spoke to you. I would absolutely love it if you shared it with a friend who's preparing for birth or recovering from one. And I just thank you so much for being here and taking the time to listen and connect. And as always, you can reach out and let me know what this episode helped you with, how it changed your perspective, how it changed your mindset, and how you're preparing for labor differently now. Or this resonated with you so much because this is how you're preparing and what you feel and resonate with as well. And I absolutely love having these honest conversations with you. And I love the journey of motherhood and childbirth and postpartum. And I love sharing these thoughts and experiences with you. And like I said, this has just been something that has been coming up even day to day, and different experiences that I see and different questions that people ask and different things that are happening around me. And it's just really, really cool to have this message be something that I'm bringing more awareness to as I prepare for my third birth. And I just hope that it can help shed light on some other things that you're thinking about and bring more awareness to you as well. So see you later, Mama. Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.